everyone. In this video, we are going to review all the sheets necessary to produce a drywall and framing estimate. Of course, we're going to do our three-step process, which is a very detailed takeoff, very detailed man-hour totals, and then a very wonderful professional Excel spreadsheet. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. We would love to show you more. All right, now we are looking at a small retail facility where we are going to do the takeoff here for the framing and for the drywall. And of course, if we are the framer, we need to look at both the floor plan, make sure it's to scale, of course, check the scale, which we did here, and start looking for any description that tells us the types of walls. Because this is already an existing facility, we need to be thinking about a few things. First, the new walls that are going to be built, they're going to be marked out like these are here. These are wall tags telling us that we have wall 1A and wall 2A. And so somewhere on this description or somewhere on another legend or another sheet, detail sheet, it's going to give us the description of what wall 1A and 2A are made out of. And the one thing to note and to always be aware of, whether they call this wall 2A, 1A, or whatever, you want to make sure you note which of the walls have drywall on both sides or which do not. It appears that wall 2A is up against an existing adjacent wall, and so you want to make sure when you are determining that. But then again, the wall legend should tell you that wall 2A is a new wall that has drywall only on one side. One other thing you need to always make sure to do is to look at the specifications for the finishes, and that's where our drywall would be noted in the finishes division, and that would tell us what level of drywall finishing that this drywall should have. Okay, and that's very important. Level 5, very labor intensive, so your labor rate for that is going to be something that is much more. Okay, and so we're going to break this video, like we do all of them, into 3 parts. Our first part is always a very detailed takeoff using a digitized software. And if you are in need of a digitized software, please leave us a message in the notes, because we are able to help you with that and provide that to select of our clients that need to have the takeoff software. It's kind of expensive, so if you're new and starting in the business, you may need to rent it for a couple of weeks in order to get started, or in order to get to a place where you can get it yourself. And so please leave us a message in the comments to let us know. Now, again, when we have an existing building, we need to always look at the new wall construction. We always need to note what is going to happen with the existing walls. Do we need to finish those existing walls? And in this case, we have a good interior elevation marker. So what does that do? That tells us, if we look at image number 1 on page A400, we can see the finishes or how the wall is here. And 2 shows us all the wall finishes here, right? 4 shows us all here. And so if we needed to, in order to determine, I'm almost certain, anytime you have a renovation, you have to, prep the new wall. So is that part of the demo work? And we did not complete the demo work for this. So those are all things that the drywall person needs to be thinking about. All existing walls, do I have to prep those for new paint, or is that something that's not even in my scope of work? But again, the specifications are going to tell you. Okay, so let's look to see what types of walls, wall 1A and 2A. And this again is the step 1 of our 3-step process. Step 1 is always a very detailed takeoff. Okay, step 2 is what? Going to a cost book that's based on industry standards, getting the cost of material, and getting, more importantly, the man-hour rates based on industry standards. That's where our 1-step, 2-step, 3-step process is always going to help you win, because You're going to have a reference guide to tell you, based on industry standards, how long something's going to take instead of guessing. And you never want to do that if you're doing competitive bidding. My job has been to help my clients, at least have a 60 to 70% win rate, okay, in competitive bidding. And the more you bid, the more you win. So I hope that you will join our bid program, our monthly program, where we assist you in all the different types of facilities. So whether it's a school or a restaurant or a hotel, based on your specific trade. So whether you're the framer, drywall, electrician, HVAC, we walk you through all of those different types. And in order to be good, and we teach our clients to be self-performers. So we're going to teach you how to do the estimates the same way I've been doing them for going on 14 years. It's 3-step process. 1, very detailed, takeoff. So if you don't have takeoff software, that's something you need to be considering. And again, leave us a message in the comments. We'll be able to assist you to join our monthly program that begins on January the 3rd, where you can join us exclusively one-on-one with your plans, our plans, and we work you through our, again, 3-step process to win. Okay, so I've always advised my clients, bid more and win big. It is the law of large numbers will kick in. The more you bid, the more you're going to win. Especially if you base it on something and you keep your numbers, your historical numbers. So if you do a lot of McDonald's, you keep those. I show you how to do square foot estimates. Bid more, win big. Okay, just keep that in mind all of 2023. Join our monthly program where we will sit with you one-on-one on, again, whether it's a school. We have a school coming up that we're going to be showing just bits and pieces of it, but we're going to go through every aspect of it on our beginning January 3rd. And then we also have a Hampton Inn, okay, that we're going to do from top to bottom. It's from the ground up and go over every aspect of bidding, cost estimating, and more importantly, material quantities. And we will go over later how material quantities and cost estimating is 2 different things. Okay, so we'll go over that. So let's get back to, hit the mic, I'm sorry. Let's get back to framing. So we know from our interior partitions, interior wall types, it's going to show us here. Looks like they're all going to be braced at the roof joist. That's usually what we have going on right here. But what we don't have is, well, we know the ceiling is going to go, the walls are going to go about 6 inches above the ceiling. Well, in this set of plans, we really don't have a good section view to tell us the exact height of these walls. But we know that wall 1A is 6-inch metal, insulation, acoustical sealant, typical on each side, but it would say top and bottom, so we do length times 2 as far as how many linear feet of sealant. And then we were going to do the insulation, right? The square feet of insulation would coincide with the same square feet of framing. But the drywall, if we are doing drywall on both sides, right, the drywall square feet would be twice the framing because we're putting it on both sides. So that's wall 1A. Wall 2A is that one up against the existing where we only have drywall on one side. Okay, and so that's easy. And then we marked out the existing walls and what we need to do with those. So we either look in the specifications under the finishes for drywall because it will detail state. Okay, if I have to do if the painter has to do that, or if that's part of the demolition scope of work, that's very important. But as far as just new walls, the only new walls are the ones we have in blue. And this is how they're built. Okay, so first sheet the framer looks at, of course, is the floor plan. That's all the new walls coming up from the floor. So yeah, and so then we have to transition to walls, if there are any coming down from the ceiling, or if there's any ceiling framing. So we're going to go to the reflective ceiling plan. Now this is our interior elevations. Okay, so all of the existing walls. So I know that I'm going to have to paint those. The painter has to paint them. So yeah, I need to find out if me, as the person that's going to install new drywall, if I have to be the same person to prep this existing drywall for new finishes. All right, so here's the ceiling. And so in terms of the drywall, there is no new drywall for the ceiling, no new framing for the ceiling. The only thing that we have for the ceiling, even in the bathroom, is the acoustical ceiling tile. Now, remember just previously I said that we did not have a height or section view for this to determine the height of our new walls. And so what you can do is go to the reflective ceiling plan. This reflective ceiling plan's job is to mark each ceiling to give you the ceiling finish, which in this case is 2x2 acoustical ceiling tile, and the height of the ceiling is 21 feet 6 inches. And so I'm just going to use, and I'll tell my client that we have used a 22 linear feet ceiling height. And then as far as finishes, if I'm going to do the finishes, then all of this is all acoustical ceiling tile. So yeah, I need to get how many square feet of that. And that's what this is for, reflective ceiling plan. But also too, I have the existing soffits. Okay, and so I need to see, as far as, again, prepping those, is that part of my demo scope of work? And or is that something that should be included when for the painter, or something that should be included on the drywall scope of work as far as prepping existing walls and ceilings? So that's the only question for that. And then let's look at the section view 2 over A300. Okay, so 2 over A300 is going to give us this. So this is the soffit that's on the interior. So in terms of painting, I would need to adjust my wall prep numbers to account for this part of the soffit and this part. And as far as, so this is the height basically, and then the length is the full perimeter of the building, where I got basically that is the full perimeter from here to there. So length times that, basically that height, is how many additional square feet of wall prep, ceiling prep we need to add to any of the drywall prep for the existing drywall. Okay, and then last but not least, you need to look at what types of new door frames. We'll just go through and look for the door schedule. And this is a tiny set of plans. And here it is right here. So anytime we have new doors, it's always going to give you the schedule. So I know here we only have 2 new doors because that's all that is in this schedule or in this list of doors. I know that the door is wood. See the door material is wood. We're going to paint it, so the painter needs to know that. And the frame for our framer is hollow metal. Okay, and it's also painted, but the painter needs to know that. And so this will give us the description of the door frames. Okay, so in terms of the detail takeoff for a framer, and usually all of my framers also do the drywall. And so first step is always your detail takeoff. You need to be mindful, especially with something like this, something that's existing. You need to consider the prep for your drywall for existing walls. Is that part of the demo scope of work? Is it part of the painter scope of work? Or is it part of the drywall professional's scope of work? So that's really like the only thing in addition. All your new walls, that's what you're going to build. And then all your new ceilings, that's what you're going to build. If there's anything there to be framed, of course. And then your third thing, you're going to look at your door schedule to make sure you know what types of door frames and not the doors themselves. Usually the framer doesn't install the doors too, but it really is small projects, they may do a lot more than in a larger project. So, but for certain, the framer will install the door frames. So again, for our framing, and this is really, we're not talking about structural framing. That's one thing we have to make sure we designate. There is framing that's A-plan framing that's non-structural, and then there's framing that is our structural framing in the S-plans. This is not at all S-plan framing. Okay, that's a whole different set of plans, whole different type of material, whole different terminology, no. Okay, so remember our 3-step process. 1 is this one, very detailed takeoffs or measurements. We're going to come back with 2 for the pricing, and I'm going to give some actual man-hour totals to show the difference between an assembly price wall, where what's an assembly price, it includes the price per square foot includes the framing, the drywall, and prep to be ready for paint, as opposed to breaking down the framing from in this case we had insulation. So, there's an assembly price for all of that. So we're going to break that down in the next video for this one actually. Step 2, which is a very detailed material list, and from that material list and those items that you are choosing, you should be able to determine how many man hours it's going to take to do the quantity that we just determined. Okay, so make sure to, after this video, I'm going to recommend the basics, right? So if you're new to this, you need to be going over the basics of specifications, the basics of the views, what are the views, and drywall framing basics. So give me your thoughts, make sure to subscribe, and look for this next video coming up right after this. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the framing and drywall takeoff, which is always the first step in any professional cost estimate. Make sure to look for pricing and determining man-hour totals for the same project. It'll be coming up soon. Thanks for joining me.